Thank you. So good afternoon to everybody from Palamós, a little village in the north of Costa Brava, in the north of Catalonia, when these days we are watching the sea, from the window. But it's a pleasure to be here sharing with great educators like you. I'm so happy to see people I know on the chat. So I think this is what is helping us really these days. And I'm going to share in about 10 minutes my experience these days and my thoughts, the thoughts I've been having after the situation from my 2 points of view. One point of view as a teacher in high school, in Verswijvel, my school, and the other as a member of a team of innovation and teacher training and communication of a network of schools in Catalonia, which are Baduna Catalunya Educació. And we are 36 schools, which means different kind of students, different contexts, different families. So I'm going to share my points of view. Now, if there is something clear these days to me, is that teaching from home is not and cannot be the same of teaching at a school. We are facing an unplanned, unexpected, and unpredictable situation. So it's not that government said, now, from now on, countries are going to implement home schooling. So it's not about that. So the big question to me is, how are kids and teenagers really facing this? And this is the big challenge for educators, to get to all these kids and teenagers. Because if there is something clear, is that teaching at home doesn't have to be lots of exercises, lots of routine tasks, or lots of cool apps, because I'm a very upgraded teacher and up to date, so I'm just launching a different challenge every day using a different app. So the word, probably if there is one word, is redesign everything we've been doing. Because teaching cannot be obviously the same, because we have to take into account the level of readiness of students, of families, and of educators, and of course the internet access of families and kids and teenagers. So what, under these circumstances that I'm just saying from the starting point, what should we take into account and how should we take this into account? I wrote 5 tips, which can be, which to me have been interesting, but could have been 10 or 15. So it was difficult for me to summarize. But what I think is most important are the 5 I just put here. On the first place is dosage. We have, at least I have discovered after 2 weeks being at home, that we cannot be 7 24-hour teachers. And students need time also for other essential things. Daniel Siegel, the neuroscientist, in his book Brainstorm, which I always like quoting, says that kids for a healthy brain need some essential times. Time in, down, time to sleep, time of boredom, time of doing nothing. So there are in life many other essential things rather than only focus time. And now, at this moment, I think that educators should take this into account. Second thing is engagement. We need to increase students' motivation for learning. We don't want students to get engaged for passing exams, taking tests, or having qualifications. I think the most important in life would be learning. We are here to learn. We know that there is something we won't be able to stop doing in life. So this is something I'm worried about, usually, engaging them and motivating them for learning. Another interesting thing is about skills. Focus on both personal and professional skills. It's time for problem solving. It's time for critical thinking. Think of all the pieces of news we have, all the fake news. Think of fake YouTubers that all the things that we get through the web. So it's time to develop these skills and also the personal skills, self-esteem, self-regulation. Universal design of learning, an equal opportunity to succeed to everybody. So we will probably have to design multi-level tasks that can be carried out by different kind of students. You know that different students means different kinds of learning. And we need to provide them with real learning experiences, real learning, because we know as educators that learning takes place in many different scenarios. So after these 5 tips for what? How? I don't have the secret and less than 10 minutes. Yeah, but first of all, what we have had to do is to plan. Yeah, clearly. Plan the strategy, not only when we mentor schools, but also as teachers. We have to plan the strategy, we have to plan the objectives. What are we looking for? What do we expect our students to do? And plan the learning experiences we want them to do. Obviously, we have to communicate. We didn't have many problems because we were used to Moodle and Google Classroom as usual, but we need to communicate with families, we need to communicate with the students, so different purposes means different channels. And we also, need to communicate with other educators. So choose the tools that will help you communicate with your teams, with your schools, with your families, and with your students, the better. And maybe this means sometimes having a tool that we didn't expect, like WhatsApp or like the phone, for some students. Then there is something I call the IKEA philosophy, do it yourself, because different, the different students means that they learn differently, different levels, different ways of learning. So choose the tools that and the strategies that help self-regulation, self-assessment, self-learning now more than ever. These slides could have been 20 slides because you know that there are hundreds, thousands of platforms, Moodles, tools. So I just wrote here some examples because later I'm going to provide an example with a hyperdoc. You know that hyperdocs can help us a lot because they help the self-regulation and they respect the rhythm, the pace that each student has. You know that we have tools that also integrate different skills, so they have self-assessment and self-learning. And you know that maybe we will have to use the tools that help us give to students clear instructions. I usually record myself these days. Arjana said, Arjana, at the beginning that she has become a YouTuber, me too. We have to record with clear instructions so that they can do these activities at their own rhythm. Give feedback, is another of the things I think it's very important. So it's not about just giving activities or challenges, but give feedback. I decided to put here the picture of the ladder of feedback. Clarify, value, state concerns, and suggest to your students, and I pose a question here, assessment, evaluation, or qualification. We are not still qualifying tasks at the moment, but we are giving them feedback for this learning because our objective is that the students learn, So give feedback. And 5, obviously, get inspired from others, get in groups. We are now today also getting inspired, and then help and mentor. And I just put here some examples. We have in Catalonia this platform, M School, some toolbox that these days is having about 25,000 visits per day. Imagine, what never had happened before. And built as an educator your own personal learning environment. It's time that we have done it, for many time, but it's time that educators build our personal learning environment. And I thought it would be good to give you 2 very particular examples that they were successful among our students. One example is related to the idea of using self-assessment, self-regulation, as I told you at the very beginning, and the other example is dealing with engagement. The first example is how I use the hyperdoc to prepare an activity for my students. You will have the link to the HyperDocs webpage. I really encourage you to use them. You know that what is interesting is that they follow the learning, the cycle for learning, yeah, from the engage moment to the expanse. Yeah, some students need to go farther, and we need to give them the possibility to go farther. So I use HyperDoc. When I had it built, I uploaded in the Google Classroom. Here is the instructions with my recording. I use recordings, as I told you, because it's easier for them. Maybe one student needs to listen it once in 5 minutes, and other students need to get to the recording one time after the other. So, and this was, there's a screenshot. Yeah, sorry about the presentation. This is a screenshot of my HyperDoc, was Love in the 21st Century. The first activity was engage. You know that they had the opportunity, well, they could choose the activity, either watch YouTube, Netflix series, listen to songs on Spotify, you know, this is the teenage world, or even read, yeah, read books or watch films. And then they have at the bottom one simple activity after they have carried out this engage activity. The second one was explore, and for the explore time I used Padlet and just put on the wall some interesting text that I thought would be interesting for their learning. And always after each section there is the check-in through Google Forms here. Third step was the third for explaining. I record myself, I use links like Pinterest or others, and here the Google Slides with my instructions, how to write a love letter in this case, and how to write a good message. Then fourth step, it's time to apply. So they are uploading their letters after fulfilling this cycle to Google Classroom. And then they have to write a message too. And they are sharing these days a message in Instagram. So I'm reading their messages, their love messages they're sending to the wall or to any people they love. And finally, they have to reflect upon learning using their portfolios that we use in the classroom. I can also share this unit if you like, yeah? So this was one example. In 10 minutes, I don't have time for more about self-regulation. A HyperDoc can help you and can help students with the cycle of learning. And another example, well, these are screenshots of the Instagram messages they are sending these days. And another example was that of engagement. With my team of colleagues, Joan Bassa and Jiminez, who I think they are here today on the chat. We are doing project-based learning at the school, so we said, what are we going to do with the project? Yeah, you know that project-based learning means cooperation, means students working on their own, different subjects, different kind of activities. We are carrying out also Scrum methodology. And then we decided we needed to engage them again. So how would we engage? We used Metaverse for virtual reality. So we became virtual teachers, and what we did was design a Metaverse experiences and design different challenges. This is the, you know, the Metaverse. If you don't know, you have to work on your computer. So on your computer, you design the experience, and you can use, polls, you can use open questions, videos, links, whatever you like. So you design the complete experience. After you have it designed, Metaverse generates a code or a link. You see, this is the code, but you can scan the code or just use the link. We share the link with the students, again, with Google Classroom. We usually upload the challenges, but we realized that some students were not connecting, so students organized themselves. And with those students who were not connected, we are sending the challenges via WhatsApp. Yeah, we were not used to that at the school, obviously, but we are doing it because we want to reach all students. So we launched the challenges, and here you will have the link to all the projects. 4 different challenges, each challenge connected to one skill, as I said before. Challenge 1, reflect and discuss. Challenge 2, become a maker. We want them to create, to be creative, to produce. Challenge 3, related to STEAM and 3D design with Tinkercad. And the 4 challenge with self-assessment. Here you will have also how students see it when we send them it on the phone. You see some students' productions and just some why and how. And I think time is over because I had a few times. But I wanted to share with you these two simple experiences which have been successful and to share my thoughts previously to the examples.